Hey everybody, my name's Tom Wenskus. I am Emma Wenskus's dad. Emma, who's in first grade, Miss Mirando's class, and many different hobbies. But the one I'm going to talk to you today about is one of my favorites, which is freediving and spearfishing. And so, what freediving is, it's kind of it's like snorkeling. You have a mast snorkel, some dive fins, a little bit more equipment involved with it, wetsuit, dive weights, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, so it's a very interesting sport. It allows you to get under the water and see where the fish live, see how they interact with their environments, and not only the fish, you get to see crabs and sea anemones and sponges and jellyfish and you name it. Anything that's down there, you can see if the water's clear enough. So yeah, I've a little background on myself. I've been fishing since I was 2 years old, and my dad had me out on the boat fishing. So it's always been a part of my life, and he's always taken us out, all types of fishing. And then I also worked on a fishing boat for 9 years, so very much on the water all the time. And so I started. I needed to not do new dive mask one day. Went to a dive shop, saw that they had some spear guns, started researching the sport, and became very interested. And so I've done spearfishing now since 2011, so about 13 years ish. Um, and I've done it in many different places: Hawaii, the Keys, and Rhode Island, Maine, all over Long Island. I've been fishing. I've dove in bays, around inlets. I'm way out in the ocean in over 1,000 feet of water. Just anywhere I can, I really try to jump in the water. Yeah, so it's a very interesting sport, and I mean you get to see all types of fish. I've dove in schools of stripers, and I even dove with sharks. I've heard humpback whales underwater, sea turtles, you name it. It's just really neat stuff. Um, so I'm going to quickly go into some of the equipment. We're going to start off with the mask, as I mentioned. So this is a spearfishing mask. It's only spearfishing because it's a low volume mask, which just helps you dive deeper. We're going anywhere from, say, 10 feet. We'll go past 50, 60 feet underwater. And then you have a snorkel. So you hold your breath, breathe through the snorkel, go up the surface, and then go underwater. Some of the other items here, some of the safety equipment we have is the dive flag, right? So you hang this above your float or your boat, and this just signals for other boaters and people on the water that you're a diver in the water, so they know to stay clear of the area because you don't want to get injured by a boat. Another piece of safety equipment is the dive knife, right? This is just, you're going to be diving in areas where people sometimes fish. So there could be a line in the water and you don't want to get tangled up. And if you do, you want to be able to get yourself free. I've never been tangled before. I have seen line in the water, but it's always better to be safe. Another item is my dive watch. So this will tell me how long I'm down for. It will tell me how deep I'm going. It'll also tell me how long I'm on the surface for, because you gotta breathe up on the surface. You got to take your time. You can't just keep going down and staying down, coming up real short and then going right back down. You got to really take your time with it. This has alarms in it too, just to make sure I'm not staying down too long. I mean, we'll go down average like a minute, 15 seconds, sometimes 2 minutes. But yeah, so some of the other items, we have a wetsuit. Diving in the Northeast, the water gets pretty cold and your body you want to keep your body warm because that will help you stay underwater longer or hold your breath longer. But that acts like a life jacket. That actually keeps you up at the surface. The wetsuits are buoyant. So to help you sink better, or be less buoyant, to float a little less, you add some dive weights to it, and that'll help you glide underwater, actually. So another item in being able to swim underwater, you need some dive fins, right? So here is a normal dive fin, kind of short, not too short, not like a boogie board fin, but a free diving fin is way bigger, right? So here's a normal dive fin. Here is the free diving fin, right? And this just helps you hold your breath longer because you don't have to kick as hard to move underwater. Takes a little getting used to diving with such large fins. And another item is the actual spear gun itself. So this is one of my bigger ones here. So this is carbon fiber. So they make race cars out of carbon fiber, but it has a reel on it, and then it has these big rubber bands really tough rubber bands that you pull all the way back to load the gun. And then very dangerous. You have to know what you're doing. They do have safety, so you just need to know where you are, the people around you. You're supposed to be diving with a dive buddy. Very important. You have to know where they are at all times, and they have to know where you are at all times. So you just got to make sure you stay safe. But when you see a fish, you just aim and then pull the trigger, and the shots are really not that far. You'll see in a video in a second how close the fish actually get. And the thing with free diving and spearfishing, you don't really have to worry about holding your breath. I said I dive for a minute, 15, 2 minutes sometimes. If you can only hold your breath for even 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, it's just like anything. The more you practice, the better you'll get. So I'm going to show you some videos. The first video is going to be of striped bass. You're going to see me next to a structure. And even on the structure, take a look because you'll see mussels, you see sponges, you may see even some sea anemones. And that's their own little ecosystems. There's going to be some crabs and stuff, so you don't even have to hold your breath to be able to see that stuff. And you can watch even barnacles with the feathers pulling particles out of the water. Really interesting stuff. So I'll show you the videos, and thank you for watching. So this is a dive that I did up in Rhode Island, but on the left you'll see all those mussels that I was talking about earlier. The orange ones are sponges, the white, even the white too. You'll see some jellyfish in the water, but you can see that there's a lot of growth, its own little ecosystem that's growing on this thing. The spot here is about 30 foot but as I near the bottom, you're going to start to actually see some fish. There was one, there's another one there. Those are all striped bass. So I'm nearing the bottom, and there's even mussels on the bottom. You see the jellyfish; those are actually comb jellyfish. Pretty neat. But you'll see some stripers, and look how close they are. They're just hanging out. They're just doing their thing, swimming around, just doing what stripers do. They're not feeding on anything. They're just cruising. There's not what I was looking for is a much larger one. These are all keepers here, but these are. I was looking for one that was much larger. But yeah, you can see that there's a bunch of them, and it's almost like you're in a giant fish tank. And so I'm just hanging out on the bottom, just waiting for a big fish to come. And so as of right now, I'm probably starting to feel the urge to breathe, and so I'm probably going to start heading back up to the surface. In which I try to do very slowly. So here's another good shot where you can see all that growth on that structure. So I'm just kind of crawling up, and the really light spots, those are actually sea anemones. And here's all those mussels. So it's pretty neat what you can see there. So here's another spot in Rhode Island. This isn't too far from where we saw all the stripers. So what I'm doing here is I'm just slowing down my breathing, just getting ready for the dive. But you can see a lot of the same critters growing on these pilings here. And these are just a bunch of poles that are in the water. They create good habitat for blackfish because blackfish, which we're seeing here, you can see that one that just came out, they like to hide in things. So you didn't see any in that previous video because there weren't any places to hide. And then the blackfish generally don't like to hang out with striped bass all too often. But you can see that blackfish right there, that bigger one on the left has my eye, and so I'm just waiting for him to get a little closer. I don't want to move too fast just because they get very skittish. They swim away really quickly. But yeah,